YouTube? RR Demon doing another video. Out riding again, and let me start this off just saying, hey, if you like my videos, please click the subscribe button there on the bottom right. I would greatly appreciate that. The first milestone's 100 subscribers, and then you can do a custom URL. So that'd be fantastic instead of like the random generic generated URL it gives you. I'd love to actually create one, so please go ahead and do that, and hopefully you'll enjoy the videos anyway. So wanted to give a shout out to a guy on Facebook. If you didn't know, I have a Facebook page set up for this channel. It is facebook.com/TheRealRRDemon. I set that up essentially just to be able to connect with the viewers. Well, I have a guy, and I'm not even sure where he is. His name's Mauro, I don't know, Mauro? I'm just gonna fuck his name up. I mean, just butcher it, but he's been sharing my posts, my videos, and everything, and trying to help my page grow, at least on the Facebook side, which will probably translate into the YouTube side as well. So, a shout out to him, dude. I mean, I definitely appreciate the love. Big heart for you. I also want to apologize to him in advance before he even watches this video for fuckering his name up so bad. I don't know. It is what it is, man. I'll get your correct pronunciation at some point. Now, the other reason I want to show him some love, he actually gave me the first viewer-generated topic. Why did I choose a 954? In the introductions footage, I had originally had the reason I chose a 954 in there. Well, at some point during the editing process, that was one of the things that fell by the wayside, was the why I chose a 954. Ooh, that's nasty looking shit there. What was so special about this bike that I wanted it? And there's no one reason. There's a lot of different reasons. For anybody that knows the Fireblade's history, Tato Baba-san actually designed the original Fireblade, the CBR954RR. This was the last Fireblade that he designed for Honda. So that is not a huge reason, but I'm probably gonna catch some grief for this from Fireblade lovers. This is arguably the last true Fireblade. And I mean, it's arguable. And I don't want to say, you know, it's the last real Fireblade, because it's really not. It's just, it's the last one designed by the Blade Father, so I don't know. I mean, take it with a grain of salt, but the last true Fireblade. I mean, we all know what power to weight ratio is. We all know that essentially the more power you have, the lighter or less weight you have, the faster you can accelerate. This particular Fireblade, the 954, actually came from the factory at 430 pound curb weight. If you look at just factory bikes, you ignore like MotoGP and all that, this is the lightest leader bike ever made. That may still hold true. It might not be as true anymore. I don't know. I know they were ridiculous. Most leader bikes that I've looked at, current production ones, are right around the 470, 480 pound range. I mean, it's easy to drop weight on it, just like it was on this one, but yeah, they seem to be closer to 500 pounds. What you ended up with in the 954 was, you could say, a 600 with leader bike power. Now my bike, and I don't know if I covered this originally in the walk around or not, but if I did not, I've got this bike at last weigh-in, 400 pounds, pretty much on the nose, full tank of gas, curb weight. I'm still running a gel battery. When it died, I didn't go out and buy a lithium battery like I should have. I just kind of wanted a battery that day. So I ended up picking up just a regular gel battery. So that's what's in it now. Depending on the battery manufacturer, that's another 5 pounds to 10 pound difference. So I can get this bike below the 400 pound mark, which can't be said of a lot of bikes, especially definitely not leader bikes. It's not all about power to weight and acceleration. For me, it had a lot to do with the handling of it. One of the reasons the 600 is such a great starter bike is that they handle nicely. They're lighter than their leader bike cousins. They're more forgiving power-wise, but they also tend to handle a little bit easier. They're easier to transition from side to side, and they make a great starter bike for that reason. Now, when you can have a leader bike that weighs the same as a 600 and still kind of keeps that real light, real smooth handling, I mean, it's a dream. Aside from the weight and it being the last Baba-san design, I think they look good. It's a good looking bike. I mean, I think that's probably where most people go initially, is how the bikes look. And even though this thing is 15 years old, I mean, I've maintained my bike pretty well. The previous owner before me maintained it pretty well. So, I mean, that helps out. I've had people, they find it hard to believe it's a 15-year-old bike. It's a big round of applause to the design of this bike. The fact that people will look at it and still think it's a modern day bike. You can't say that about a lot of the bikes from 2002. In general, I don't think most of them are still current looking. The tail section is probably the one giveaway on it that it's an older bike. The aesthetics of the bike, the way it was set up, I like it. I mean, a lot of people like it. People think this is a gorgeous bike. Even without me painting my fucking gas tank yet. I've still been slacking on that, but I mean, I'll get to it at some point. I don't know. A lot more into going out and riding than I am fixing the fucking tail. Or the tank, excuse me. I'd rather be out riding than pulling her apart and painting the tank right now, so that is something that is coming eventually, but I'm not pressed to do it. It doesn't look terrible. It's a little awkward looking on a black bike to have a big red tank. I mean, that's kind of the reason I wanted it. It was just last design of the original Fireblade designer, and then lightweight as hell. I mean, the handling is amazing. Every bike has drawbacks. There is no bike design that I've ever seen or heard of that is absolutely flawless. So let me cover some of the flaws. If you're looking at a 954, you may want to know these. Number A, these things have a light front end. The entire bike is light. If you suck at controlling how much throttle you are giving this bike, it will pick the front tire up, and if you are not well versed in wheelies, it will loop. Haven't done it. I don't do a lot of wheelies, so I haven't looped this one, but it is there. It is a factor. Number 2, Hondas in general have weak charging systems. They like to kind of burn up, I guess. The 954, I don't want to say seems particularly susceptible to this, but I've heard a lot of complaints about the stators or regulator rectifier actually burning out in 954s. Oh, maybe I'm the exception to the rule. I mean, I've had this bike 4 years. I've put like 30,000 miles on it, and I still have the stator regulator rectifier that I bought it with. Again, could be the exception to the rule on that one. I mean, other than the charging system and just kind of being too light, your kill switch, emergency kill switch / start switch, your right handlebar switch there, I've heard a lot of times of those things, the contacts that are in there just no longer making contact like they're supposed to. Same is true of my bike. It would start, it would run, but my headlight would just keep shutting off, and I would have to like jiggle the switch or pull it out a little bit and get those contacts to just touch again. And my final straw with that was I was going down the road at probably 60, 65 mile an hour at night, and my fucking headlight turned off. And I was on a back road. I didn't have, you know, street lights and shit, so that was the final straw. I took it home, I ripped that fucking switch apart, and I put a jumper in there. Now, I no longer have my headlight turning off while I'm riding, but it also does not turn off when I go to start the bike. It's not been an issue for me. I don't know, my bike, it starts. It starts every time. It's not like I'm pulling that much current through it that it's, you know, getting pissy with me and not wanting to start. I guess if you have a weak battery, that is one of the possibilities, is that you can get to the point where it just doesn't want to start for you because it's drawing too much current for the headlight. But like I said, it's not been an issue for me. But yeah, the 954s, I don't want to say a timeless design, but it's a design that it's kept up well, even with it getting to be an older design, it still looks good. It still looks the part. So I can't argue with that aspect of it, and that's one of the reasons I liked it, was just how pretty they are. The looks are great. Lightweight's awesome. They handle, like I said, like a dream. Now, the future. What do I want in the future? It's funny because I'm such a diehard Honda guy. When Yamaha released the newest generation R1, that kind of made me shift over to wanting that until Honda finally put out the new Fireblade design. It's, I like it. It looks good. I don't know how they handle. I'd like to eventually get a hold of one. I'd love to get a hold of one at some point and test ride it. One of these years, when I have enough money, I will probably buy a 17 Fireblade SP, preferably. Now, the beauty of that being, depending on what's going on financially, I really do not want to replace Serenity. I'd like to replace her as my daily rider, into something a little bit newer, a little more power. But I actually want to pull her apart, rebuild the engine, and then possibly do a turbo. I do my own maintenance, including valve shims, pulling cams out. I don't mind getting in all that. But when it comes to like turbo setups, that's where I kind of get lost. So it's going to be an expensive endeavor. I already know this. That's definitely down the road. If not, I would like to at least do the 980cc. Yeah, it's a 1mm overbore, is all it is, and it brings it up to 980 cc's. So you can eke a little more power out of it. Alright guys, well that's it for now. Like I said, if you like the video, definitely like, subscribe. Help me get to 100 freaking subscribers so I can get a custom URL. So anyways, yeah. Like, subscribe, share it, tell your friends. Tell them to come over and see me. I'll see you guys in the next video, and be safe.